How Reddit was destroyed. Self.conspiracy. Submitted 3 years ago by deleted. 1. The first thing they did was take away r/reddit.com. This took away the only tool for communicating with Reddit about Reddit. If you had any concerns about the website as a whole, you could address them through reddit.com. Taking that away was the first step. 2. The power now resided in individual subreddits, obviously the most popular ones. There was a power grab to become moderators of these subreddits. I remember as the upcoming election loomed, all of a sudden our Circle Jerk, one of the old default subreddits, became completely obsessed with bashing Ron Paul. I'm not even a Ron Paul supporter, but that was definitely orchestrated, and not by some kids trying to be funny. Watch this short doc and tell me Reddit wasn't added into the equation. Once again, I do not support Ron Paul. I just find this example very fascinating. 3. Once the subreddits were controlled, drastic changes began to occur. I remember when our IAMA was open to anyone and the popularity was decided by voting. Now it is nothing more than a cheap place for celebrities to whore out their products, and you need to be approved. 4. The appearance of shills became very apparent. All of a sudden, new accounts started popping up out of nowhere. Cue the birth of Hail Corporate. Also, around this time, feel-good military posts started appearing, like a soldier coming home to his dog, from brand new accounts that never posted again. 5. Now we have blatant censorship on our news, our world news. Add in our politics, or even our The Donald, etc., saying that X site is not allowed. Whatever happened to letting people vote on the content of this website? 6. All of the proper checks and balances are now in place. So now we're being fed an anti-Muslim, Islam, Russian, India smear campaign weekly. The amount of stories that demonize these groups is sickening to witness, and with minimal research you can see that most of them are hyperbole, sensationalized, and sometimes outright fiction. But that's okay. When something goes against the US's good narrative, every detail is examined with the slightest inconsistency is used to dismiss the entire story. But that diligence disappears when the story is bashing somewhere else, and those who point it out are downvoted out of sight. And people will say, what are you talking about? People are constantly bashing the US in every thread. Yes, that is absolutely true. But because those people have decided to even out the score, when you have hundreds of fake accounts moving the narrative in a certain direction, then it is essential for people to come out and loudly counterbalance the propaganda. It wasn't always like this. A few years ago, there were just as many disagreements and differences of opinion on Reddit, but they were real, and the site was still a democracy. People voted, and things swung from side to side. Everybody learned in the end. Now, we have a completely one-sided mess that pretends to be democratic, but is quickly becoming the Fox News of the internet. I believe this can be essentially boiled down to greed. Reddit gets billions of views. The people who run Reddit are not the cool bloggers they try to portray themselves. There is a head running things, and it is sinister, and they are making a lot of money, and have a lot of power, and a lot of influence, and they know it, and you should too. Edit. What Reddit used to be compared to what it is today. Notice how this site used to actually produce real changes in the real world. This was the peak in 2011. An anonymous Redditor exposes the Eland School, an abusive boarding school in Maine, which was then shut down. I want to start collecting other damning evidence here. When Best Of suddenly decided it would no longer take posts from our conspiracy after this post received the highest score in the subreddit's history. Users like QGYH2 having no accountability and the power to personally censor at least 70 subreddits. Most Reddit-addicted city with over 100,000 visits total, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. User GeoRed points out with examples that Reddit is being retroactively scrubbed clean. Research point concerning the net worth of Reddit.com for anyone who actually believes they are not worth anyone's time to exploit.